This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. A 30-year-old man has died following the head-on crash between a car and truck at Latrobe this morning. Police are still investigating the cause of the collision, but icy conditions have been ruled out as a contributing factor.
The wreckage of a Subaru Liberty strewn across the Bass Highway at Latrobe. Shortly after 8 o'clock, the car collided headfirst with an Australia Post truck. The Subaru driver died a short time later.
He was conveyed to the Mersey Hospital at Latrobe and pronounced dead at approximately 9 o'clock this morning.
The deceased was 30-year-old Christopher John Hall of Sprayton. He was the only occupant in the car and his family was notified by police soon after the incident.
The details of the witnesses immediately behind that vehicle have been obtained and they've been provided support.
The driver of the Australia Post van was a 52-year-old male from Deloraine. He was treated for shock at the scene but was otherwise uninjured. Traffic was diverted through Latrobe until the scene was cleared 6 hours after the crash. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Ambulance Tasmania will trial a new secondary triage service to help reduce the pressure on paramedic staff. Around 40% of 000 calls are non-emergencies, with the pilot system to help prioritise the state's most important cases.
This is where some of our state's most desperate calls for help are heard. Ambulance Tasmania's call centre determining each emergency as it comes through the line, but not all 000 requests are urgent.
We certainly receive anything up to 40% of our calls which we would class as non-urgent, non-critical. Doesn't mean that they don't have a healthcare need, but it's not life-threatening.
A new secondary triage system will divert those non-life-threatening issues to an on-hand medical team.
So that we have a doctor and a nurse working with the paramedic so that they can design the support that that patient needs at that moment.
The trial is hoping to help stem a skyrocketing demand. Unions representing paramedics say morale is waning as hundreds of cases are attended to each night.
We've got caseload now of the like that we've never seen before. We've got ambulance operating at its almost highest escalation point and calling on additional resources on a daily basis.
They're the ones that face the brunt of demand, and if we can provide a better system, we take the pressure off them.
Early this morning, the Launceston General Hospital saw 8 ambulances ramped at one time, waiting for beds in emergency.
We've got major issues right now. We've got major demand on all of our public hospitals and unfortunately these measures won't have any effect on the immediate problems that we've got.
The Minister says 35 additional paramedics are expected in coming weeks.
That will provide another on-road crew in the south and another on-road crew in the north 24/7.
It's hoped the new resources will focus on after hours as some paramedics clock 14-hour shifts. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Environmental authorities say work is being done to stop rancid waste running into the Blythe River in the state's northwest, following media reports highlighting the problem in recent days. The current tenant on the site linked to the waste expects a solution to be in place within weeks.
On Saturday, we brought you these concerning pictures of birds coated in sludge which had run off a worksite in Haybridge. Today, assurances of resolution is being worked on.
And that's about the nature of evaluating the problem, I guess, looking at what the remediation is and how to address the issues associated with the oil runoff.
The source of the runoff is a silt pond on a site previously used by Index mineral processors, followed by a stock feed producer. The site is now leased by a different, unrelated stock feed company, which maintains it is not contributing to the waste.
The oil runoff is not associated with current practices on the site, that it is indeed a legacy issue from a previous operator.
Tas Stockfeed and the site's owner say action is being taken to fix the problem, telling Southern Cross News excavations to divert the stormwater from the silt pond began on the weekend, with work expected to be finished by the end of the week. We are told a clean out of the pond will then immediately follow before the property owner considers removing the pond entirely.
It's about diverting the stormwater from the site, which contains the oil.
The local council and EPA will continue monitoring the site, so scenes like this become a thing of the past. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
The trial of a Tasmanian man accused of assaulting a police officer by driving a motor vehicle at him has begun in Launceston's Supreme Court. The jury today heard police tried to intercept Maxwell Hall after he was seen driving at high speed near Kmart. Prosecutors claim he continued driving through Newstead and St Leonard's. Then at Johnston Road, he allegedly drove towards an officer who had to jump out of the way. Hall has pleaded not guilty to the assault charge. The trial continues tomorrow. A powerful cold weather system has brought significant snowfalls across the state. They settled down to 100 metres above sea level in some parts, with authorities issuing several safety warnings to drivers, bushwalkers and farmers.
It's recess at Collinsvale Primary School and the playground is covered by a dusting of snow. It may already be spring, but it's the school's first official snow day of the year.
It is quite unusual. Last year we had 5, the year before we had 8, so this is the first one in spring.
The conditions forced the cancellation of the school bus, meaning 3/4 of the students couldn't make it to school. For those that could make it, plenty of playtime, but also a chance to catch up on learning.
So they get to do stuff where if they're not up to standard, they catch up. If they're over, they do lots of extension work. So it's actually really great for the kids to have one-on-one stuff.
It was one of many parts of the state hit by the spring snowfalls. This was the scene for a Tasrail crew travelling between Burnie and Rosebery. The conditions didn't ruffle any feathers, but the pigs were feeling the cold. But it also caused dangerous icy conditions on the roads. Police issued alerts across the state, including here at Vince's Saddle, where paddocks turned white.
Sometimes we get short bursts of cold conditions, but this has been 48 hours, piling lots of snow into the west. We've had reports of snow pretty close to sea level in northwestern Tasmania.
At Myrtle Forest, friends were fair game as snowballs flew through the air.
I think our beauty of it was that it's actually snowing as we're here right now, which is the best. But yeah, no, we weren't expecting so much.
For some, like this little girl, it was the first taste of snow.
Our 2.5-year-old Erica here it's her first time at the snow, so it was a great opportunity for her to have a bit of fun and play and build a little snowman.
Snow has continued to fall over parts of the state today, but over the coming hours we can expect the snow line to recede, but then another dumping is set to hit us later this week.
By Thursday afternoon, it drops back down to 400 metres in the west and back down to 100 or 200 metres again, which is what it's been for the last day or so.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
It may only be spring, but authorities are already issuing a bushfire warning for Tasmania. Parts of the state have been highlighted as of particular concern because of unseasonally dry conditions.
The latest firefighting systems are on display at the Fire and Emergency Conference in Sydney. Authorities from across Australia gathering here ahead of the fire season. Today seeing the release of the seasonal bushfire outlook.
Tasmania didn't have many fires last year, but we can expect them this year. We had a quiet winter with no rain at all. We can expect average rains coming through the spring.
The Weather Bureau says we've had particularly dry conditions over winter, which adds to danger.
This part of the state, similar part to here, is actually quite dry for the time of the year as well.
While all parts of the state can expect some bushfire risk, authorities have their eye on particular spots.
This area is going to be an area where there's an increased risk.
The East Coast, Derwent Valley and the southeast corner have an above normal fire potential. The seasonal outlook also shows the danger could start as early as the next couple of months.
Spring winds are what causes us problems, so that could be mid-late September, October. What we generally find is that we'll end up with wind-driven fires through the October-November period.
Another peak of danger is expected from mid-January. The important message now is the time to prepare.
We're entering that part of the year that people should be starting to think about it, and that is about go and check their bushfire plan. Have they cleaned their gutters?
You can get more information on bushfire preparations on the Tasmania Fire Service website. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian ballerina has gone from one success to another. 13-year-old Dayla Bowman recently returned from spending 6 weeks studying at the prestigious Bolshoi Ballet Academy in the United States. Now she's preparing for another big opportunity.
Fresh from the US, Dayla Bowman is keeping herself on her toes. The talented ballerina earlier this year became the first Tasmanian to be accepted into the Bolshoi Ballet Academy's Summer Intensive program. There, she spent 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, perfecting her skills.
We did 2 hours of pointe a day, so my feet got very sore in the first part of it, but then I got used to it.
Russian teachers conducted the rigorous training program with the help of English translators.
So I definitely feel like a lot of my technical aspects have improved.
Just being able to go over onto into America where there was a much bigger audience, bigger classes, and dance with some of the best students around the world. It's an amazing opportunity for her.
Dayla began dancing when she was 3, and it seems her ballet career is only just getting started.
Well, I've been accepted into Tanya Pearson Classical Coaching Academy in Sydney, and I'm going to be doing full-time level 1 there next year.
Dayla's success comes after fellow Tasmanian dancers Emily Masters and Heath Colker were accepted into the prestigious Australian Ballet School.
This proves that there's obviously lots of talented young dancers in Tasmania, and the teachers are doing the right thing.
The aspiring prima ballerina is too young to study at the Australian Ballet School, but has her sights set high.
Definitely to get into like a ballet company and just perform all over the world.
Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Back home again, and Hawthorn Football Club legend Luke Hodge has arrived in Tasmania for his final farewell. The retired Hawk will speak about his successful career at the South Launceston Football Club tonight. He says while he will no longer be playing in Tassie in brown and gold, he'll still be visiting.
I've already teed up with a few mates next year to come down for Barnbougle, come down and watch your boys play, and obviously have a hit of golf. The golf game's not up to it, but I'll be still coming down to Tassie without a doubt.
Tonight's event is hosted by Balls and Bumpers Launceston and has sold out. Southern Cross Care Tasmania has made its final wage offer to its staff in a bid to end the dispute with the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation that's been running since January.
That offer is 2.5%, which was paid from the 1st of July, 2.25% from the 1st of January 2018 and 2.25% from the 1st of January 2019.
The ANMF has been chasing a 4% increase but says it will take the revised offer to its members across the state and industrial action will be ongoing. Carefully selected items reflecting life in Hobart have been placed in a time capsule not to be opened for 50 years. School children have outlined their vision for the future as the piece of history marks a milestone for the city's town hall.
Within this time capsule, a snapshot of life in Hobart as we know it today, sealed shut for those living 50 years in the future.
We just don't know what life will be like that far ahead, and yet hopefully the information that we've collected and the objects will be of interest.
Stories and mementos alongside objects some may be happy to see made history, like parking meters.
20% of Hobart's budget is parking metre money. We were the first council to introduce parking metres so we could actually get our customers into our shops.
A concept that could well be outdated as our future generations predict new modes of transport.
Probably like maybe faster things to drive in or things that fly. I put inside, I wrote about transport and about the environment.
A mark in time as the city's famous town hall closes the door on its 150th anniversary celebrations.
This building has remained the centre of Hobart, Hobart's social, cultural life, our political life. If you name it, it's happened in this building.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Southern Tasmanian households will soon get the opportunity to buy energy-efficient products at rock-bottom prices. A new bulk buying initiative will help consumers overcome the initial cost hurdle, with local councils pooling together their purchasing power.
Some people say, what can I do to shrink the carbon footprint? And here's a great opportunity that people can look at what they can do is save on their appliances.
So we're starting off with heat pumps in October, and then we're also looking at insulation, LED lighting, solar panels and battery systems. and solar hot water and heat pump hot water.
The full list of products can be found on the participating council websites. Let's take a look at the day's business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has overcome a poor start to close slightly higher, helped by a late rally in bank stocks and support for the miners on the back of recent improvements in commodity prices. The ASX 200 index has risen by 4.2 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 79.62 US cents and 66.9 euro cents.
Cricket Tasmania says the state government needs to up its game if it wants the Hobart Hurricanes to become a permanent fixture in the Big Bash League. The organisation released its annual report today, with the CEO claiming Tasmania needs to earn the right to a BBL side.
With the BBL juggernaut showing no signs of slowing down, Cricket Tasmania says it's time the state government acted accordingly.
We're not entitled to the Hobart Hurricanes, we're not entitled to have a Big Bash team, we have to earn the right.
Releasing its annual report today, new CEO Nick Cummins has labelled it a moderate year for the organisation, highlighting some obvious flaws.
About 13% of facilities in this state are currently female compliant, so we've got girls and women who are playing cricket getting changed in the car park.
But it was the future of the state's BBL side that was a clear precedent of the day, with Cummins claiming the organisation is lobbying for more state government funding on an almost daily basis, so far to no avail.
The funding that we've got from the government has been static for the last 15 years, and we've gone from one men's team to two men's teams in terms of the Tigers and Hurricanes, an entire women's program.
In a statement, the government defended its funding model, claiming it's provided assistance to secure several international cricketing events to the state and looks forward to receiving a business case from Cricket Tasmania. Whether that leads to a funding increase remains to be seen.
Sort of thinking, right, we've got a T20 team that's locked in perpetuity, we don't need to worry about that, we need to focus on other sports, and that's just simply not the case.
Meantime, Cricket Tasmania has hit back at claims that the Blunston Arena Surfers is unfit for TSL finals after Lauderdale coach Darren Winter labelled the middle of the ground as too hard and dangerous to play on.
Certainly not consistent with any of the feedback that we've had, either from other teams that participated or indeed from the governing bodies who govern the game. So, I don't know, maybe he needs to toughen up a bit.
Cricket Tasmania says there hasn't been any pitch rolling leading up to the TSL Finals series, and it has no plans to reassess the surface. Well, he's provided one of the best knockouts in Tasmanian boxing history at City Hall in March, and now Jaden Plugger Joseph is preparing to do battle with old friend Johnny Brown for the inaugural state cruiserweight title. And promoter Grant Brown says if Hobart wants to see Luke Jackson fight for a world title here in the future, they need to turn out in force on September 16.
He's best known for this highlight reel KO, but the man they call Plugger says there's a lot more to his repertoire.
I don't rate myself as a big puncher. Yes, I can bang, but I don't worry about the knockout shots. Knockouts come when they come.
Joseph has dropped down a weight class for the upcoming title fight, focusing more on speed and endurance than heavy hands.
Mentally, it's a whole lot harder and physically on the body, but I feel better for coming down in weight, doing myself a good favour, being a shorter fighter.
And while Plugger has been shedding the kilos, his opponent Johnny Brown has been packing them on, jumping up in weight for the 8-round title fight.
No, Plugger's no slouch. Sparred him a few times and very good spars, so I'm up for a hard fight.
And Brown is confident he can handle anything Joseph throws at him with the inaugural state cruiserweight title on the line.
I've got a pretty good chin, so I'll back it, so I'm not too fussed.
If I do win it, a history, I think, being the first ever Tasmanian cruiserweight champion, and we're two local boys, come from a hard neighbourhood, so a lot of pride on the line.
The fight will be the main undercard on September 16 when Luke Jackson defends his WBO Oriental Featherweight belt against Mexican Humberto de Santiago. And promoter Grant Tassie Brown had this message for fight fans.
And the message I want to send to people in Tasmania that if he's won a world title fight next year with Luke Jackson versus the world champion, this one has to be supported.
Back home, and Glenorchy coach Aaron Cornelius says he can't guarantee he'll be back at the club next year, following Saturday's loss to Launceston in the TSL elimination final. Cornelius is currently on an open extension with the club and will have talks with the board in the coming weeks, but claimed if an opportunity with an AFL club came up, he'd take it.
We've seen guys like obviously Bolts and Zane Littlejohn make their way into the AFL now. Fags is doing a fantastic job, and a couple other Tasmanian guys. So yeah, there's no set direction, but hopefully one day I can find myself there.
Several big-name Glenorchy players, including Braden Webb, Zach Webster and Mitch Hills, suffered injuries in Saturday's loss.
Good evening. Hobart 9 degrees today, Launceston 11, Burnie and Devonport reached 10. The top only 12 recorded by St Helens and Friendly Beaches, while Mount Wellington's overnight low of -6.4 was the coldest it's been on the mountain for the year. King Island 11 degrees, Low Head, Wynyard Grove, Strawn and the Islands 10, Bushy Park 8, Lyawini 1. Open cell cumulus type cloud spreads across Tasmania, Victoria, southern parts of New South Wales and South Australia. Low cloud is along the southern coast of WA. Close-up shows cloud today through the West South and Bass Strait, scattered cloud over the remainder of Tasmania. Tomorrow the strong west to south westerlies continue with a trough crossing the state in the morning. A trough also sits along the east coast of Queensland with another over Western Australia, the high in the middle. Those winds continue 20 to 30 knots over most waters, but to 35 knots over southern waters with a 6-metre swell. Gale warning from Stanley to St Helens Point and from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point. Strong wind warning for remaining waters, a small craft wind alert for the lakes. A warning to sheep graziers, a bushwalkers alert for the central and west, a road weather alert for snow down to 200 metres and black ice, a frost warning for agricultural districts. Not looking forward to much, are we? Showers in Hobart 12 degrees, 9 for Geeveston, 8 the top for Bothwell with morning frost and showers. An early frost for Launceston, possible shower, 13 the top, 13 for Devonport, possible shower 2 for Cressy after a cold start. Burnie tomorrow, a shower or 2 and 13, 10 for Strawn with the wind picking up, Curry windy as well and 12 degrees. And partly cloudy for St Helens, 14, a cold start for Swansea, 13 the top and 12 the high for Orford with a shower or 2. There's Thursday's map, showers extending statewide, afternoon hail and snow down to 200 metres. More of the same on Friday, less effect over the east coast though, snow rising to 500 metres by evening. Still cold on Saturday with a shower over the west, central, far south and Bass Strait. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow, showers for Adelaide, Melbourne and Canberra, sunny conditions for the other capitals up north. A little showery currently over Hobart, 7 degrees at the moment, clear in Launceston and 5, and showers over Devonport and 5 degrees. Joe, you may not see me tomorrow night. I'm pretty certain this little ticket here is going to get me $30 million.
Oh, it would be so sad if you weren't here tomorrow night, Merv. Good luck, mate. Well, before we leave you tonight, this footage captures a curious Tasmanian devil hesitating just a little before stepping out of his den to inspect his snow-covered surroundings. Snowfall is expected at Cradle Mountain for the rest of the week, so let's hope he stays nice and warm. And that's all from the news team for now. See you throughout the evening. Good night.